Hello there and welcome back to Pathfinder Plays, and Dead Matter has come out with another update leading to 0.6.0. Let's talk about it. So as we know, Dead Matter had a very rough start, very rough launch as a matter of fact, and they have needed to essentially overhaul or redo or rebuild a whole bunch of systems in the game to make sure it functions properly or even matches the original vision that they had for the game and then somehow lost along the way. So one of those changes they exclaimed in this update, among many, which is a good thing by the way, this is a good update, is the medical overhaul, and that consists of a lot of different aspects such as tag damage system, the healing and blood regeneration, and also the nutrition system. So let's take a little bit of a peek at what they got going on there to see if it's worth your time after 0.6.0, of course. So first things first, we got an 80% of stat manager code was rewritten, which is a lot of work for sure, but still startling that it was necessary in the first place. I've never seen something like this to where a game was released after so much hype and it had to be almost completely rewritten, but I digress. Something else that they pretty much did was replaced existing conditions and systems entirely, which makes it a more stable foundation, which is obviously a good thing. A lot of the issues that people were having were that they couldn't connect, that they kept crashing, that once they were in there, it was very unstable, lagging, glitching, very strange times. New Hud widgets, as we see on the screen right now, I have mixed feelings on if it's really aesthetically pleasing to me or not. I don't think there's anything wrong with them per se, but there's so many style choices out there that I'm not even sure if this is worth critiquing. It's subjective. But something else that is pretty interesting to me is that they split the stamina up into two different categories here. So you have your regular stamina, then you have combat stamina. The regular stamina decreases with running, jumping, regular movements like that, but the combat stamina is only used in combat, hence the name, and that is specific for only melee attacks, and also it has quicker recovery times. Now something that I do want to know is that it only mentions, I believe, that it's consumed, the combat stamina is consumed when using melee attacks, but I want to know if it will also be used when ADSing or holding your breath, obviously, while aiming down sights as well to get a cleaner shot. But I guess we'll find out in the future. Now, I mentioned the tagged damage system, and we've seen this in a couple of other video games as well. At least I have. I'm familiar with it, and you guys will be as well. It's essentially whenever you get hit, your character gets slowed down just a little bit, and this is pretty good. It's realistic, I would say, but also it makes dealing with hordes a lot more dangerous, so it does encourage a more slow-paced strategic gameplay, which is one of the things that really attracted me to Dead Matter in the first place, so that's really good to see. They also changed the medical healing system, so unlike Tarkov, where you can drag various medical items to the injured limb or head or stomach or whatever, now you can right-click on the medical item you want to use while the damaged limb is selected and heal that way. Now the healing and blood recovery changes. You restore health by using a med kit or a trauma kit now, which makes sense to me. Limb health is now character health, which they didn't really dive in too much, but I'm just going to assume that if your limb gets lopped off, you're probably going to die. And for blood regeneration, if your character is healthy, meaning that your nutrients are good to go, maybe your hunger is full and you're not dehydrated, then your blood will regenerate by itself, which is really nice because it gives an added bonus to keeping your character healthy. So it doesn't debuff you, it doesn't give you a decrease in performance if you're not healthy, but it does take away this buff that you would otherwise have. So that's pretty dope. And for the nutrition system itself, they say that they are trying to figure out essentially a best way to apply it in a meaningful way, so they have temporarily taken it out. And I do hope that they figure out a way to apply it meaningfully, because nutrition is so important in survival games. If you get it wrong, it could be tedious, it could be pointless, it could just be a band-aid on the game, whenever it could be not necessarily the focal point of the game, but a really attractive and meaningful portion of the game where it does matter, and they're trying to make it matter. So hopefully they do figure out that. Moving on, we have the character changes here, and the attributes have been removed. Now, as you guys know, if you are familiar with the beginning of the game development, there was perk points and then there was attributes, kind of like Project Zomboid, but they have taken out the attributes points, and this will help make perks more powerful, or at least unique, which will make players a lot more different than each other. I think a lot of the attribute points were just having issues working to begin with, or they were just really hard to see a significant change in your character with them, so they just removed them altogether. But of course, with the perks, they have changed the perks a bit to where each class will have their own individual perk, which will separate them from the other ones. There's a couple of them that actually have more than one, which is interesting to me, and I don't know why, but let's take a look at them. The construction worker perk, instantly upgrade built structures from level 1 to level 2. That one's actually pretty huge. Police officer, friendly fire damage from group members is reduced by 75%, though that is a very large percentage. Seems like the most useless perk on this list, and being as a police officer's skills are quite broad, I feel like they could do better. Delivery driver, gain a 20% boost to vehicle acceleration and braking, which is dope. Emergency medical condition, ability to craft more advanced medical items, which is obviously super useful. Firefighter, 25, this is one of the ones that has multiple perks. You get a 25% max carry weight and additional damage and speed when using melee weapons. So that's one of the ones I'm just like, why did they get 2 and then like the comp gets like a trashy perk? Like, I don't understand, man. Like, cops have to carry like 30 plus pounds of gear depending on what you're doing that day. So I don't know, man. Whatever. I'm biased. Blacksmith, gain ability to craft lockpicks and armor repair kits, which is dope. Technician, this is another one that gives you multiple perks in one occupation. Gain the ability to craft a variety of structure-related items such as locks for containers and doors. You can also, number 2, craft many recipes that are available to everyone with less components or generic components in place of specific components. So that one's also very useful. There's going to be a few of these occupations that will be used more often than not, but you can see that they're still trying to go in the more, not necessarily RPG, well, I guess it would be roleplay, but they're just trying to let people be different than other people besides just your PvP skill, which is, again, one of the things that attracted me to the game to begin with. And if they're able to do it right and maybe add more occupations over time, then that would be really, really good. Something else that they added in this update is the new crafting system, which it's pretty self-explanatory now. They essentially added a new crafting menu to simplify the process, which I'm glad, because the whole crafting scenario with the game was an absolute mess. I wasn't a fan of it at all. So it's good to know that they're actually taking steps to fix it. Something else that they did was add crafting recipes that are available, and they will be defined by their former occupation. So that would be very interesting to see how that plays out, because it does sound like, depending on what your prior occupation is, will determine what you're able to craft. So I'm really wondering what a firefighter would be able to craft, or what a police officer would be able to craft, or what a freaking unemployed person, I don't know, a popsicle stick castle, is that he could craft that? I don't know. Crafting benches will also be added in the game as time goes on, which will unlock more advanced blueprints as well, and we see that in tons of games. Like the most recent one would be Valheim. Something else that they did was the armor system, and this is something that would also be categorized as super important, and it could be, if done wrong, seen as redundant, unnecessary, or even annoying. So the armor system they have now, it was cosmetic, but after 0.6.0, it is going to actually matter. And essentially, whatever part of your body is covered by armor, whether it be your arms or your chest or your back, obviously, will reduce damage to a certain percentile depending on what armor you have on. And they give some examples. They have some military armor with shoulder pads, regular football shoulder pads, and they all decrease incoming damage in those specific areas by like 15% or 50% or whatever. So that's all really, really cool. But I would assume they would also have different weights as well, which will have an effect on stamina. So you will have to, I'm hoping, have to decide and make strategic decisions based on your preferred gameplay which armor to take, because just because it covers more of your body and it protects you more, doesn't mean it's the best if your gameplay is moving quickly. It's kind of like with DayZ or SCUM even, where if you're trying to go in PvP, you don't take the giant backpack and load yourself up. You take a more low-profile backpack that you can move quickly around even if it's full. And also, something that's really cool is that not only have they moved to a physical location, meaning that hopefully workflow is more consistent, they are now up to 20 employees, which is really, really cool. So I'm expecting some big things this year. With that number of employees, who knows, maybe early access will actually be ready sometime this year and the NDA will be lifted. Who knows? Who knows? And us peasants will be able to play it and stream it. How great would that be? But anyways, guys, unlike the last update, this one was fantastic. Oh, they also did announce that they will be doing weekly updates. In the weekly updates, they said maybe a lot, maybe a minimal amount, but either way, it's good. Now, a lot of companies don't need to keep this consistent of communication open with the public. The only ones that do are the ones that broke trust, that the community feels is dishonest. No Man's Sky is one of them, right? No Man's Sky dropped off the face of the earth because they pissed everybody off with their grimy development process, much like Dead Matter. And then they came back, and now, like, if you guys take a look at their update logs on their website, it's very consistent. They update people on every freaking thing, patches, updates, game editions. They show videos, like trailers for different large updates. It's pretty impressive, actually. They're essentially development vlogs for every addition to the game. But Dead Matter is needing to follow suit in that same way, and I'm just hoping that they will have the same kind of positive growth that No Man's Sky did. But that is about it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to read it for yourself, there is the link to the development blog in the description below. If you guys are wanting a good survival game to play and a good server to play on in the meantime while Dead Matter is getting their crap together, you could play SCUM with me in my Discord community. Links will be in the description below. My server is fantastic. It's a little bit of everything. PvP, PvE, RP, whatever you want, man. It's pretty great. We got events coming. We got a lot of stuff in the works, and there's a large game-changing update for SCUM coming with 0.5. It will be halfway complete, and the server is being built up focused around that, and it is going to be a purely survival kind of an update, so it's really exciting. If you're into Valheim, we also have a server for that, and if you check my community post, you'll see all the information regarding those. Thank you to my community members. You guys do not keep me dead, but actually you keep me alive. Alive, fed, and well. Maybe not fed. I mean, it's only 99 cents for goodness sakes. I can buy like a Snickers bar maybe. But it's just if you want to support just a little bit more and get some cool perks along the way, check it out if you're interested. And for the rest of you, thank you for sticking by till this point in the video. If you like scares, survival, and scavenging, consider hitting that subscribe button, that like button. Share this video with your friends, and I will see you all in the next one. PATH out.